Hi, how are you doing? Nice to see you again, Miss Laurel.
Doing very well, Vanessa. How are you?
I'm doing really well. So for those of you that haven't tuned in, last week I got to know a little bit more about the CEO and founder of the new Media Group, Miss Laurel Lindsay, and we talked a little bit about the importance of social media marketing in the business marketplace, and also a bit about what drew her personally to social media. This week I kind of just wanted to talk to you actually a little bit about what the specifics were of what it takes, you think, for a business to be relevant in the realm of the internet and the social media. For example, when social media has so all of these different tools and apps, from like Pinterest to LinkedIn to Facebook, say somebody is opening business for the first time, it can be a little bit overwhelming. I just wanted to ask you if you thought that there were any avenues that were more crucial to utilize than the other, or if they were all equally indispensable.
That's a really good question. And yeah, absolutely. It can be so overwhelming. And I just want to tell anybody that's watching this that it's so normal to be overwhelmed by the internet marketing space. It changes so fast, and there's so many tools out there that it's really tempting to just put your head in the sand and hope it all goes away.
Yeah.
I've been there. I've actually been there myself, so I completely understand. In terms of what's indispensable to be relevant, I think that the most important thing is always knowing your target market. But if you're just starting out and you don't really know, you need some kind of website just to have like your contact information and a list of your services. It doesn't have to be fancy. There's lots of ones you can get from like GoDaddy.com, and it's like $20 a month or something like that. Just something online where people can find you. Um, I would also say that with that being said, it's important also to have your name, like your email address, be at yourcompanyname.com as opposed to Gmail or Hotmail. It just makes you look more professional. Um, Also, Facebook. I know that a lot of business owners think, well, my target audience isn't on Facebook, but at least in Canada, most people are on Facebook like 2 hours a day. So it's a big credibility boost to have a presence there.
Yeah,
Yeah, 2 hours a day. Can you believe we're
that's
wasting so much
crazy. Yeah, well, when you think about it, though, you do check in 5 minutes here, 10 minutes here. You know, it all adds up, and that's like such a huge platform for exposure.
Exactly. And it's really about credibility, not necessarily whether you're going to be getting business from that, but if you have a presence on Facebook, it's just expected now. So Facebook for sure. And then if you are a local business, I would certainly recommend getting a Google Plus page. That just gives you a presence on Google, again, showing where your location is. You can solicit reviews, etc. So those are your three basics. So professional email address, some sort of website, a presence on Facebook, and a Google Plus page. And that's kind of your basic. That's what I'd recommend for just ensuring that you're sort of up to speed with new technology at this juncture.
Wow, that's a really good way of putting it, actually. Okay, so when all of that when all of that traffic, pardon me, is being generated, hopefully to go towards the website, what do you think are the components of having that website be the most effective and the most successful?
Okay, so successful website, I love talking about this stuff. So to have your website successful, once you sort of have gone a little bit farther in your business and perhaps you're generating more revenue, et cetera, and you want to look at enhancing your website, first thing you want to look at is mobile. So is your website mobile compatible? So not just for smartphones, but tablets. The mobile experience in terms of what people are doing on their mobile phones is basically they are attached to them. They're on them 24/7. They're always looking for things on Google on their mobile phones, etc. So certainly looking at having either a mobile website or at least a website that resizes in a mobile browser, because that's the quickest turn off if it doesn't work on your phone, right? So that's one thing for sure. In terms of enhancing your website, you absolutely want to have a call to action or some sort of conversion strategy. So when people are coming to your site, to take them from like your average just curious person online to an actual qualified prospect, you need to have some sort of what we call in the industry a call to action. So call this number, download a free report, text this to get a free coupon, sign up for our newsletter, like whatever it is you want them to do, just make sure you've got that listed on your website. And those two things will go a really long way to optimizing your website presence. Another thing I'd recommend, again, it depends on how many resources you have, is to have a blog. Updating a blog on a regular basis is a really great way to increase your exposure on search engines, to make sure your website's updated really frequently, as well as having some instance where you've got things that you can post to your social media, and it gives you the ability to demonstrate your expertise.
Well, we talked a little bit about that last week, actually, and how we were saying how as much as, you know, technology has sort of overrun everything and things are done on kind of an isolated platform, where it's also kind of brought a lot of people together, because now, you know, with Yelp and all of these sort of consumer websites, it really is kind of a consumer's marketplace. So having something like a blog, I think, would be great, because you can interact with your target demographic.
Yeah, exactly.
And then they kind of get a sense of you, and then that's an easier way to build a relationship. It makes sense. I just wanted to know also as well, with Facebook and Twitter, what are some pointers that a business person can have to kind of, you know, tap into what their consumer demographic would be, their key demographic?
Yeah, that's a great question. And you know, it's very, very common to people get on there and they're like, okay, I'm here, now what? So there are two different animals, Twitter and Facebook. So I'll start with Twitter. The best thing you can do is get familiar with hashtags. So that's basically topics that are preceded by the number sign or the pound sign. Mm-hmm. And that just denotes sort of what, I guess, topics that people are talking about. So if you live in a particular city, you can start searching by hashtags. So for Calgary, it's hashtag YYC. You can search for all the people who are tweeting about Calgary or people who have mention of Calgary in their profile. And you can start to sort of search by what you think that your audience is going to be talking about. So a big suggestion, or a really great way to convert people, is if you search for the problem that you solve. So for example, like broken website or something like that, or hungry or party or whatever it is, and then you can actually directly engage with those people. And then just consistently posting, but more being like, with both social media properties, you want to give more than you get. So the law of reciprocity is really huge here, and so is the Pareto law, so 80-20 concept. In both cases on social media, you want to be promoting other people, you want to be talking about other people, causes you care about, retweeting other folks, and not selling. That's the biggest turnoff, and that's the biggest don't. So don't sell. Look at it like you're going to a networking meeting and not like you're going to a sales pitch. So that's your biggest sort of mentality tip. In terms of Facebook for Business, they've changed their algorithm quite a bit lately. So what that means is only 20% of the people who like your page are actually going to see you on the news feed. So the best way is, honestly, it's to advertise on Facebook. It's unfortunate that they've changed it that way. It's basically a pay-to-play situation. So the ads are fairly inexpensive, but you can really target it to your demographics. So people who have specific interests, are friends of people who already like your page, are located in a specific geographical region. That's essentially what I would recommend, beyond just sort of that networking that I mentioned before.
Oh, wow.
That's it.
That's fascinating. No, exactly. No, but that is so fascinating, because the nature is things are changing at such a rapid rate all of the time, is that it almost seems like sometimes you can create this foundation and, you know, have this level of success. But when you get to this level of success as a small business and you're expanding, how do you maintain that relevancy? Like on a cultural level, like on a social media level, where people are still seeking you or looking for you or wanting to know about your product? Is there anything that can be done, or is it just constantly keep contributing, providing content, being present, essentially?
Yeah, it's basically like, kind of like going to the gym is my analogy. You know, like if you go every day and you watch what you eat, then you're going to see results. You know, and if you go once a month and you eat chips all the time, you're probably not going to see results. You know. So,
but you think you do. You think you might sometimes.
No, right? But it's really about consistency. Like, that's the main thing. Is if you just get consistent. What I always recommend for people to do is, like, I have a book, it's Social in 17, where you can do social media marketing in just 17 minutes a day. Like, if you start with a very small chunk of time, I always say, like, you have to eat. A lot of people eat at their desks. Spend 17 minutes on your lunch hour. Just like make a habit of checking in on your social media properties. And then once you say you just focus on Facebook once a day, then when you get comfortable with that and in the habit of that, you can add, you know, other social media properties. I always say start small, get in the habit, and then add, because it's less overwhelming that way. So consistency is key. And then also, you really have to know your customer and what they care about and what they want from you, and also the mentality of people on social media. So understanding your audience is huge. So delivering value, I always say for social media posts, like, it has to be consistent, but in terms of topics, use multimedia as much as you can. Videos and images go a longer way rather than just text. Yeah. And then in terms of the content, like anything that's informative, inspiring, or entertaining, basically that's your rule of thumb, is going to go a lot farther than you pitching yourself or, you know, lengthy, really detailed technical information, because people go on there to socialize, right?
And I think that social element definitely leads a lot more room for creativity as well, I think, which I think is a very interesting trend in the marketplace nowadays. Now, I just wanted to ask one more question. I know you're not a fortune teller, although I wish you would be. But what would you perhaps be able to say would be a good assumption or a forecast going forward in social media marketing that would kind of transform a more traditional aspect of what is considered to be advertising? Like, for example, like if I'm opening up a small business, what would you say is not a necessary allotment of money I should put in a budget for, say, print or an older form of advertising, because social media is essentially kind of taking that over and becoming more vital and therefore rendering it irrelevant? Or do you think static marketing, how it's always been, is always going to have its part to play?
I think that there's two different objectives that both of those tools serve. So my experience has been that sort of traditional branding type activities, like billboards and things like that, they're really good for branding. So when someone is ready to purchase, the more they feel like they know and trust and like a brand, the more likely they are to purchase. And so for me, this happens like at the grocery store all the time. I'll be standing, trying to decide what kind of ketchup to buy, and it's like I trust Heinz. I don't know why I do, but because I've heard about them forever, right? Or Campbell's Soup or whatever.
Yeah.
So for branding, it's really effective to have, magazine ads, billboard ads, print advertising, etc. For actually like generating a qualified stream of leads, the best way that I found has been digital, because people are actively searching for what you sell online every day. But the even more effective way to do it is to combine both. So you can do things like have your print media encourage people to go online, and have your online media to encourage people to go in store. It's all about creating a strategy that uses whatever tools are going to work for your business. So I typically don't advocate like a particular tool is like going to work for everybody. It really depends on your objectives, and as long as you tailor your marketing strategy and figure out what it is you're trying to achieve, where your target audience is, and how you're going to get in front of them, that at that point is when you should start looking at what tools are going to best achieve that objective. Because it's so tempting to just say, oh, I should be on Instagram.
Yeah.
It's like the fun new thing, but that's not necessarily the case, and it could be a huge drain of your resources if you haven't done that research beforehand.
Okay.
I guess in terms of a forecast, one thing I would say is probably the thing to watch in 2015 would be mobile marketing. A lot of businesses are getting into the text message marketing. Text messages are read and opened way more than emails. Like the rate is huge. Emails are open like 20% of the time, and text messages are open about 90%.
Yeah.
So that's something to watch for.
Yeah, I've actually recently had that while living here in LA, and I thought it was fascinating. I'm like, oh, all of a sudden, well, Western Union's calling me.
Yeah, exactly. We're actually going to be offering that service come January and 2015. So if you have any more questions, go to thenewmediagroup.ca, and we'll have a fresh new website up, and you can get all kinds of information about mobile marketing. So.
Okay, awesome. Thank you again, Laurel, so much for your time. I really appreciate it. I feel like my mind is expanding every week that we hang out together, and I'm learning more and more. And I think I definitely won't be putting any money towards phone book advertising, but everything else seems 100% worthy of that. Again, thank you so much, and I look forward to speaking with you next week.
Great. Thank you so much, Vanessa. Have a great day.
Yeah, have a great weekend, honey.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.